everyone. Good afternoon from a sunny Amersfoort in the Netherlands. I'm here with Simon Gunkel. He is a senior R&D scientist, immersive communication, XR, VR, AR, and he works for TNO, which is a Dutch applied scientific research institute. And he will be talking about human in the spotlight with social extended reality. I wonder if that would be something about a rare Ready Player One scenario. We will see in a minute. So, Simon, take it away.
Oh, I was muted. Hi, thanks, Joost, and welcome everybody. I hope you can hear me now. At least I don't see that someone is complaining, so let's just start. I would like to start with the following idea. Just imagine that you can talk to anyone, anytime, and anywhere, like you're being in the same room, like you're both exactly in the same room, that you have natural communication and that you have a very direct relation to this other person. So my name is Simon Gunkel, and I'm very happy to talk today about some of the topics that we are working on in TNO, and in particular, social extended reality, so social XR, and how we put the human in the center to develop these kind of social XR technologies, and how we use the social XR technologies to put humans in the center. I first wanted to give you a little bit of an outline, so I will start with a short introduction, and then talk a bit about remote communication in general. So where are we in the grand scheme of things? I will talk about immersive experiences and social XR, and how we deal with social XR technology and how we develop social technology at TNO. And I want to spend around half of the time of this 40 minutes presentation on concrete examples and use cases, concrete prototypes, and give you a little bit more in-depth insights into specific scenarios that we do together with various partners. So first of all, I'm working now since 7 years at TNO as a scientist, and in particular applied science. So I wanted to stress two things so that you have a little bit of idea where I come from and what to expect from this talk. So first of all, these applied research mentality means that I'm both connected to the scientific world, to the academic world, but also in the industry. And that means I try to keep a bit of a balance between these two worlds, the industry perspective and the scientific perspective in this talk. But also there is a lot more to mention. There's a lot more research that I didn't properly reference in this slide deck. So if you have any particular topics you're interested in, please feel free to contact me and I can send you the paper links or the paper as PDF. And the second thing I want to mention is, probably I can be classified as technologist, but I'm equally passionate and interested in the human perspective and in the way, like how the human factors relate to this technology. And as the title of this talk suggested, this will be not a fair balance. I think the talk is mostly addressing or focusing on the human aspect. So I will not talk a lot about the in-depth technology of what we do, but rest assured there's a lot of background materials. So if you're also more interested in very specific technology points, please reach out and I can give you much more detail. But just to start, to give you a bit more overview about remote communication and what I'm actually talking about. So there is a very interesting paper called The Road to Immersive Communication, where the authors made a very nice kind of picture of what different technology is there for remote communication and how does it evolve, but also what's the kind of factors here on two levels. How does different technology can increase the sharing of information and the natural conversation. And we have some traditional things like email, and then we're moving towards more innovative and new technologies. And the talk is settled here in the immersive communication spectrum. But I think there's a couple of things when it comes to the backgrounds of communication, and in particular remote communication based on technology, that I would like to stress. And first of all, communication is very, very complex, and it's very personal. So that means there's a lot of influencing factors, both from the technology, but also from different personal human factors and non-technical influencing factors. And there's a couple of key ideas why immersive communication is interesting and why we want to move towards it. And one is the idea of media richness. So the idea on how well can a technology reflect information? How well does it address information? And for us, it's also, we want to have a lot of information based on body language, based on normal characteristics of communication that we know from the real world. And together, this goes with non-mediation. And non-mediation is the idea that the technology disappears and you don't feel like you are on a technical medium, but you can just communicate and focus on the communication. But what is really important is this idea of task media fit, the hypothesis, which kind of identifies that different technologies are good for different tasks. So you cannot have every communication task reflected with every technology. And I think we also know this from everyday work. Sometimes it's better to send an email than to have a meeting. But so the main goal here is that we create a technology where you have a very high immersion, where you have this non-mediation, and where you have a very natural communication with a high social presence. And if we look at XR technology in general, or immersive media, we have a wide spectrum from the very real world to completely virtual world, and everything in between, where we can augment information to the real world, or where we can detach people from the real world and have some kind of hybrid technology scenarios. And this is not terribly new, let's say. There was a lot of development in the past years, and I think it's also didn't start it was 2016, but it started way before in terms of research and science. Virtual reality and augmented reality are much older, but in terms of the current wave of devices and experiences and technology, I think there was a big shift in 2016 with the Oculus Rift, and continuously the devices improved in terms of hardware quality, in terms of processing, in terms of graphical displays, and also moving more towards augmented reality and mixed reality, like the Vision Pro that was announced this year. But on the AR spectrum also, we saw an uptake in 2016 with more SDKs for mobile phones, and nowadays people move more towards this glass type rendering devices. And this is just a couple of examples. There's many more, and I also added a couple of logos here on people that are involved in this space, like Qualcomm just announced their new Snapdragon processor, for example. But there's also, we expect a lot of more augmented reality devices in 2024. And why do I focus here in this slide on the hardware? Because actually a lot of the current industry drive is still very motivated by the hardware design and by the hardware capabilities. But if we look at the software side of things, and in particular communication, there's also a lot of really interesting, great vision out there from different players. Like a couple of years ago, there was a really nice promotional video from Microsoft about Mesh. We have, of course, Meta is a big player in this collaboration and communication space, and they are talking mostly about the metaverse. And well, when Apple announced their new headset, they mostly talked about spatial computing. And I think what's also very interesting to see here is this development of buzzwords and hype words that we are very used to in multimedia, in the multimedia sphere. And yes, a couple of years ago, we mostly talked about collaboration. Then we had this phase where we talked a lot about metaverse, and now spatial computing. And some of the terms are also very overloaded, like the metaverse. But what I really want to talk about is immersive communication and social XR. And if we look at the bigger picture of communication technology, we have some very well-known communication technologies like email and message boards and phones and so on. And one of them is immersive communication, which is communication in augmented reality and virtual reality. And if we zoom into that, then we also have some very interesting technologies like, this kind of metaverse story with virtual reality avatars, or the digital twins, where you try to replicate objects and environments from the real world in one-to-one, so that you can have digital processes, for example, for the industry. And one is this photorealistic, holographic social XR solutions, and that is what I want to talk about in particular. And again, the main idea here is that we want to increase the naturalness of the communication. So in summary, social XR is really these 4 points. So we want to have real-time communication, we want to have photorealistic representations of users, and we want that in 3D. That means it is spatial, it relates, for example, to real-world objects in augmented reality, or it has appropriate sizes and appropriate visual imagery in virtual reality or mixed reality. And it's multi-user, and multi-user can mean 2 users or it can many more users, but you want to have the session in a high social presence and natural interaction. And there's also a short video from some of my colleagues that explain this in more detail.
Social XR opens up so many possibilities to meet and feel being together.
The current Teams and Zoom applications are already very helpful in letting people communicate at a distance. But there are some very important features of this social XR application that make it very usable. It can combine virtual and real people in the same room. Hi, Sylvie. Hi, Peter. The second is you can have 3D direct eye contact. And the third aspect is that it's fully immersive.
Augmented reality is a key technology that enables people to meet each other by holoporting themselves into the field of view of the other one, as a point cloud, for instance. Unlike cartoon avatars, photorealistic representation of high quality, such as point clouds, allow you to identify and recognize the other, and also to see that it is really you. It is a crucial element to convey for sensitive services, such as financial services, expertise at a distance, and healthcare.
So yeah, so my colleague Sylvie already mentioned a couple of use cases, but I also wanted to show you this kind of timeline on how we kind of started this work. And we started around 2016, 2017 with this new wave of virtual reality devices. And in this slide, this is a bit more scientific view here on different key publications that we had over the years and different prototypes. And that's, I think, also exactly what we want to do. We want to have really tangible prototypes, but we also want to engage with key stakeholders in order to kind of move along with some of the technology equipments, but also stretch the development of the social XR systems. And in detail, this means we do a lot of rapid application development. And to help us with this rapid application development, we developed a kind of a very modular and very reconfigurable platform to address the different use cases in different ways and have a very customer-centered design approach in the prototypes we build. And ultimately, that also, for me at least, when it comes to extended reality, this is always fundamentally multidisciplinary. So we really include a lot of diverse stakeholders and users in our designs and collaboratively create prototypes that we can investigate in terms of both where are gaps for the usability, where are gaps from the technology, and in this way kind of bring this social XR technology to new features and to more usable scenarios. And one thing that is not necessarily new to us, but where we really want to spend a lot more effort in the coming years is open sourcing. Unfortunately, this platform, our research, SocialXR research platform, is not open source yet, but this is something we're working hard on, and I think where you will see a lot of more tools in the future. However, we also know open source is not for free, right? So there's also a lot of effort we want to spending on publishing code openly and also maintaining that code. And as I said, I probably want to spend half of the time of this talk on very specific, dedicated examples of use cases. And I picked 6 use cases here that are very representative for our work, and that are kind of that we also see as the key use cases for the SocialXR technology, which is generally shared experiences. So there's a big uptake in different experiences you can have in VR and in AR, but you don't want to have these experiences alone. So what can you do to kind of bridge this and to bring people together into this experience? That's the use case number 1. But also, you know, when we engaged with different stakeholders, people were very, very eager to have meetings. I think that is something, having meetings online is something that we got really used to since the COVID pandemic, but we also know there is a lot of limitations in current video conferencing software and current video conferencing solutions. So there is a big need for some meetings to have it more in 3D, to have it more natural, and that is also one of our focal points. And one thing that also comes from the COVID pandemic is social care. So how can you connect families? How you can connect people in a better way, to have real, to have important contacts and to have a better social life. The 4th use case is more relating to teaching. So how can you do teaching? And we have a quite nice teaching use case. But when it comes to this kind of remote help and remote teaching, there's also the idea of remote maintenance and expertise at a distance, which is the use case number 5. And finally, we have a new demo in our foyer in our headquarter and TNO headquarter in Den Haag, and I want to talk a little bit about this as well. So if we look at the first use case, the shared experience, first of all, this use case comes from a European research project. So there's a lot of partners who are involved in this project. But also what I wanted to show is like our basic pipeline on how, and that is pretty much how this works in all of our use cases. You always have one or multiple capture devices which capture color and depth of the user. And this allows to reproduce a user in 3D, but there's also a lot of processing involved in order to increase the quality and in order to make this into a transmittable format. And then we transmit it over the internet with different transmission technologies like WebRTC. And then you can receive it at a client and render it either in an AR device or in this case for the shared experiences in a VR headset. And the result is that we have a very easy deployable and easy to use web-based end-to-end pipeline that can be used on very different hardwares, but that also has a very low processing overhead and low constraint on the network. And in this case enables as a building block many use cases. And if we look at the actual use case, there's actually 2. So on the bottom left, you see one of our very first prototypes where we were in a 360-degree environment, but you feel like you're on a couch with another person and you can play a game of Pong. But there's also, you could project any kind of imagery there. You can project videos there. I mean, this is a pretty classical use case where we started with in 2017. But we constantly moved over to a more 3D perspective that you can see here in the top, which is the actual use case from the VR Together project, where you sit together in a virtual environment and you have 3D elements and 3D interaction in a story. But you do this together with a photorealistic user. and you also can see yourself. And this is, of course, not where it stopped. So from there on, as mentioned, a lot of people were interested in the traditional meeting cases. So ultimately, we collaborated with a Dutch scale-up called Connect2, which already has a communication platform for virtual reality. And the idea was, can we add our capture for the photorealistic 3D users into their system, use their system for the transmission, and then render that into the environment. And how this looks and feels, I also have a little video to show that.
On the technology side of the metaverse, we as TNO work on real-time communication. We're building systems that allow remote colleagues to connect into virtual reality meetings in one virtual space. Simply, our technology stack consists out of 4 blocks. We capture the user in color and depth. We process the capture in 3D and photorealistic quality. Our transmission is as easy as traditional 2D video conferencing, and we collaborate with our partner Connect2, who integrated our technology stack into a deployable and easy-to-use product.
During the COVID pandemic, most employees worked from home. That gave us a perfect opening to see how we could strike a perfect balance between working from home and now after COVID, working at the office. With technical developments such as social XR, we keep the advantages of working from home and combine them with the social advantages of being together at the office. There are many opportunities for companies to use it. We can work together from different locations, even internationally. We can use it in the healthcare sector for e-consults. We reduce the need to travel, and eventually you can even use it from home.
Normally, I would call my colleague in 2D for video calling, but with this system, it just felt like we were together again.
Yeah, I hope this video gives you a bit more clearer idea how this kind of also looks and feels as an experience. Of course, if you actually wear in VR HMD, the whole idea of immersion and 3D perspective it will give you a completely different expression that you cannot convey on such a video and screen. But also one thing that came out of this collaboration that we had for that is that we actually continued and found more partners to work together. And this was motivated particular through COVID. There was a time where in the Netherlands, old people homes were completely shut off, and elderly couldn't leave their homes, and they couldn't be visited by their loved ones and their families. And there we found a partner called Meander Group, which is one of these providers of elderly care. And together we were thinking about what can we do to improve this, and came up with this concept of a life-size AR TV, where we use a TV, make this kind of with technology see-through that it becomes practically like a big augmented reality tablet, and then we can project loved ones on the screen, and this integrates into the home of the elderly. In this way, it's very unintrusive and easy to use, and gives you a more natural feeling of the other person actually sitting with you in the same room. And I also have a short video on how this looks like. And here, this is actually in our lab. But here you can see 2 of our students and my colleague Hans in the background communicating with each other. And you can see that when Hans leaves here, you can still see him here on the background. So this is kind of the AR integration. If you have plans, for example, you will also see the plans or other movement in your room. But also, one of the key difference here on why this is more interesting than if you just use a traditional video conferencing system for this is that due to this kind of 3D capture, you can compensate a little bit the perspective of the rendering of the user. And in this way, you can convey a much more closer gaze behavior than you would expect from a normal natural conversation. So you actually have the feeling of looking at each other into each other's eyes, And that is a very strong communication indicator that you can convey with this system. And for this kind of remote connection between two users, we also looked into other use cases like teaching. And we now have, since some time, in standing collaboration with Fraunhofer, with actually multiple Fraunhofer partners. And for them, also motivated by COVID, they developed this training box. They are actually giving very high-class training for electrical things like soldering and crimping and other very technical tasks. But it's ESA certified, so it's a very high-class, very specific training. But it used to be that you had to go to the training facility, which is somewhere outside in Munich. So it's very hard to reach, but it's also 1 week training. So you really have to leave your home. But a lot of people are interested to learn from home, to be able to take care of their loved ones and their animals and other things. And so this is a very convenient way for them to train. And so far they used Microsoft Teams for this training. And in this collaboration, we thought about what can we do to add our technology and have a 3D rendered teacher that can show things and where you can interact. But also ultimately, we want to add more augmented reality modalities that you can track the soldering iron, for example. You can depict trajectories. You can have more interactions with the teacher, and you can really show things that you currently couldn't easily show in this training with the help of augmented reality. And how this looks, I would also like to show you with a short video clip.
So today we are at the Immersive Tech Week, where we present demos from the ERP Social XR. We're going to showcase demonstrator about education and technology together. We have built a system together with Fraunhofer where we demonstrate how to soldier with the help of XR technology.
We come here typically to present the results that we're proud of. Very important that in those virtual realities, in augmented or mixed reality, we also take care of communication and interaction of people. What they have to do are aided by a trainer who's at a distance, who's far away, who can be anywhere in the world. Communication between students and trainers is very important. We enable this by adding an augmented reality layer onto that. That augmented reality brings the trainer as a real person next to the student.
We have to teach at a distance, and we invented the solder mobile, soldering at a distance, our plug and learn for Corona crisis. Our students say they want to have more natural feeling in this. So we have the touch to TNO, and with the touch to TNO, we have the additional the XR experience, the augmented reality with some HoloLenses, so we can see what the trainer sees and the student can see what the trainer wants him to show.
And for me as a student, it's completely convenient because I'm able to have the training within my living room, and it feels like I have the training in the training center.
Yeah, I hope this also gives you a little bit insight into how this use case works and how we kind of use this social XR technology to kind of augment the teacher into the students' environment. But also with this basis of technology, we can also branch off into different ways and not just have a teacher-student situation, but have a situation where you can also connect remote workers, remote maintenance, and experts. And I think this is also a use case that is getting more and more important in the industry, because for a lot of technical tasks, you have a very limited group of experts, and you cannot always let your experts travel everywhere, particularly in the case of offshore situations where you have windmills or turbines or other things. So you want to have this kind of mixture of remote worker and remote experts that can connect in groups, that can connect individually, but also you have situations where, for example, you have search and rescue or other kind of operations, and you want to have more complex control rooms where virtual reality can help to depict more information, to make it easier for experts to assist people in these missions, and this is actually comes from a collaboration that is partly funded by the European Union, which is called Proeftuin op de Noordzee. So it's a test garden in the North Sea, and there's also many partners, and there's these two specific use cases that I wanted to show you, and I also have some videos that can show this a little bit better. So on the top case, you see the search and rescue use case where you connect actually multiple experts in VR into this control room with person that are actually in this search and rescue situation, and in this way you can have this kind of hybrid communication and assistance remotely with the help of Social XR. And in the bottom you can see the offshore turbine use case, where also two experts are linked with a remote maintenance facilitator, and they can see exactly what the person is seeing, and they can give very directed, clear feedback and help, also with the help of Social XR. And the very final use case that I wanted to show you is a collaboration with Dutch Rose Media and 40 Air Studios, where we wanted to have a simple demo in our facility in Den Haag to explain how the Social XR technology works. And what we did is we pre-recorded users, and we pre-recorded them in two flavors. We pre-recorded them with a very high complex volumetric capture studio from 40 Air Studios, which gives a very realistic and very highly detailed 3D model of this person, and our technology, which in this case is not real time, but we use exactly the same technology and pipeline of real time. And in this way, in this demo, you can have a direct comparison of the state of the art for very expensive, very detailed 3D capture and rendering that is not real time, and with a highly represented model that can be facilitated in real time. And how this looks is like here. You can grab this tablet, and then you can see this model from Tessa, from my colleague, and this is the model that is that's the high quality model, and yeah, unfortunately the recording cannot reflect the quality that well, but please feel also very invited if you are by any chance in the central station in Den Haag. You can just pop into our office and try this demo. But you do get a little bit of an impression how this works. And now my other colleague Omar appears, and he is captured and rendered with other methods, and you can see there are a couple of more flaws in his representation, but it still gives this photorealistic three-dimensional representation of him that looks really natural and can really convey his body language and his interaction. And with this, I would like to summarize. I hope that this 6 cases gave you a good idea about the different use cases and how you can use Social XR in different cases and can have an impact into the communication and into these dedicated tasks. But I think what's really important here is that really every use case is very different, and every use case needs adjustments in the technology and needs kind of tweaking. So also from the 6 cases, I can tell you that the technology readiness strongly varies, and there's no one fits all approach. And you need to do testing. You need to test your use case, and you need to test that use case to understand both does it work for the user? Is there kind of technical limitations, and how can you stretch that in order to facilitate specific use cases in this photorealistic Social XR? But also, I mentioned a lot of external partners throughout the 6 use cases, but also what was important for me to stress here is that we also have a lot of internal partners in TNO based on different expertise like networking and software-defined networking, cloud infrastructures, 5G, 6G, but also how the XR systems, how to set up the systems and the multimedia networks, how to make this communication, how to build this application, but also different processing tasks like intelligent imaging and how to really increase the quality and fuse different point clouds and so on. But also, what's the human side? So really having dedicated experts for human research, also healthy living, how to have structure the future of work, having continuous conversation with our business partners and in industry, but also what's the governance, what are different policies we need for that. And I think that's really something that I'm very passionate about, that we have these kind of networks in TNO and all under one company, which I think is a very unique thing and which I very enjoy for these kind of multidisciplinary research and multidisciplinary work. But with this use cases is also not where we stop. So I wanted to point out a couple of upcoming technologies. And one of the things that is, at least in my community, very wide discussed is this pixel-coded avatars from Meta, where you have like this really interesting, high-quality representations of users. But how to get that into these kind of social XR systems, how to make this more widespread and more easy to use. I think in this demo also there was not so much gestures, more hand. It was really focusing on the face, which looks very, very impressive. But you really want to have a technology chain that really integrates for your tasks. And there is a lot of interesting research that can be done to really facilitate that in social XR applications. And then there's nerves and Gaussian splatting. So the idea of like having very easy ways to capture environments in highly detailed photorealistic, where you can place users, where you can interact, but also where you can bring the real world of your place to another place, and in this way really bridge the space and have kind of very natural, very engaging interactions in the same space. One thing that I also didn't talk too much about in this talk is spatial computing. So I think this is really the new buzzword and the new kind of, will be a lot of importance, or is already a lot of importance this year on spatial computing, with the idea, how do you capture the real world? How do you understand the real world, make relations, and in this way can have a very fluent interaction in your augmented reality experiences with the real world, but also to represent humans and objects in interactive scenarios. And of course, AI, ML is artificial intelligence and machine learning is something that we will see in all domains coming up. For us, it's really important on how you integrate different models, different machine learning models, or different technology stacks in the whole end-to-end pipeline, that it really has a benefit, for example, on the quality of the user representation, or on the transmission quality, or reducing bandwidth, or making adopting things that really have an impact on the quality of experience and the technical qualities of our solutions. So to summarize this talk, so you already saw a couple of examples that I had where we do build, where we do bridge this physical distance, and where we can bring people together and allow and make this kind of natural, real-time photorealistic interaction. And I think this is really where social XR can shine, and where we can see a lot of more engaging examples and engaging solutions in the near future that really help us to interact remotely, and really can have an increased impact in our work lives and in our private lives. So two things to mention again. Please feel invited to reach out. We really always look for new partners to collaborate, for new use cases, to really build technology together, to really create impact together. and to really strive to better solutions that in the future. And also, I think what is one of the exciting things that comes up in our calendar is the Immersive Tech Week will be in the last week of November. We will be there and showing some of our prototypes. So if you're interested to actually touch and see and try some of the things that I talked about, please join us at Immersive Tech Week. And with this, thank you very much for joining this talk. I hope there will be, there's still some time for some questions and discussions. And very happy to connect to you in the future.
Well, thank you for this beautiful talk, Simon. You're a real scientist, I understand.
What does it make it real and not real?
Well, I'm not a scientist. So did I understand correctly that next year I can call you Dr. Gunkel?
That is the plan.
Okay.
I'm working very hard on the last steps of my dissertation and finishing this up. I'm aiming to have my defense in April, but okay. Yes, I think you can already call me a real scientist, but soon I will also.
Yeah, but then you are a doctor.
Title, yes.
Cool. But the fun thing what I was you're basically doing scientific research, but when scientific research, I think you make papers, you publish them, but you do pretty much more than that. You actually make working concept. And who is actually the target or the customers of these projects? I mean, I understand how science works a little bit, the publish or perish thing, but who actually, what are people, the customers of your demos or technology? Do you sell it, or is it going into production? How does that work?
I really like this question a lot because it really hits a core part of what we do. So, I mean, I'm a scientist and I also do scientific research and paper publication, but I also do a lot of industry work, right? Like engaging, I'm a standardization delegate. So this is also a very important side for me. But this is also very important for TNO to have, let's say, a leg in both worlds, to engage with customers that come from the industry, but also to engage with universities and have kind of a knowledge transfer. So one thing that we really try is to take fundamental research from universities and bring it to the next level, that it is more applicable and more feasible for industry partners, and that we do in collaboration. So we have a very diverse set of customers and financing strategies to do that, but it's not like there's this one single person that we target. So we have specific audiences for specific things, but ultimately we are a knowledge organization and we want to transfer knowledge and create impact in this way.
Yeah, I saw you have a position for an intern. Too bad I'm too old for that.
I'm never too old for that.
You never know. Yeah, I have one more question myself. You said you can just walk in and have demos. I cannot assume I can walk to the The Hague office. Ding dong, I'm Joost. I want to have this demo.
So not all demos, but this demo that I showed in the video about the foyer demo was the tablet. The foyer space in our office is a public space, so you can just walk in. Say hi to the security staff and say, I want to try this demo, and then they will probably direct you there, or you just go there, grab the tablet and try it out. But for this more complex demos with like AR headsets and VR headsets, yeah, unfortunately you need to contact me first, or best is even to come to the Immersive Tech Week to try it out.
Yeah, I'm not really sure if I can be there. I have a job as well, besides.
So, could be part of your job, perhaps.
Yeah. Also, I very much agreed with you what you said. Much meetings could be an email, but okay. I don't think there. Let's see, there are any more questions right now. Comments? No. Then I want to thank you for this very nice talk. I mean, I'm a developer myself, so this was like a higher overview of all the things you did. I have seen a few things in this area, but not so much and not so extensive. And yeah, it was interesting to see that. Well, thank you very much.
I'm glad. I really hope that it gave a good overview. I mean, of course, this is my first talk in Global XR, and I think it's a very wide audience. So I think it's always difficult if you have a very wide audience to have a good balance. But I hope that the people that watch this now and will watch it online really get something out of this talk.
Yeah, it was very smart for you to show these QR codes, because there are now 4 sessions parallel, so people have to pick and choose. So
Yes.
if they want to contact you and want to know more, they just scroll to the video, take the picture, and there they go. It was a good idea. It actually, instead of typing over URLs from a video, which is very annoying.
Yeah, nobody wants to type URLs anymore, right?
I'm going to steal that idea.
Perfect.
Okay. Have a nice day. Enjoy the rest of the conference. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Take care. Bye-bye.